Music lets you, it helps you to get along with people without knowing anything about them and without learning things that you might disagree with. In a chorus, you don't know someone's politics, someone's religion. You don't get into those things immediately that usually cause people to argue, to usually cause conflict. Instead, you're making something that one person can't do all by themselves, this big sound together.
Well, it was a long time coming. I first heard talk of wanting to have choruses in the very early 2000s, you know. But it was always like, well, we have other things we want to do first. We want to play Carnegie Hall with the orchestra. We want to go on our first international tour, that kind of thing. And eventually it just became the thing that was up. And yeah, it was 2007. And in fact, we had just come back from our tour of China when we interviewed prospective choral directors, and when Jeff Bittner came in, you know, we had great people come in, but Jeff was the one.
The process was essentially a community deciding that this great orchestral program could expand to bring more students into their educational mission, their educational programs, by having a chorus. And I actually wasn't part of that decision. But then I was essentially hired by the organization to develop the programs.
What's important to him isn't that these are his choruses and his ideas get done. What's important to him is that these become the students' ideas, and this is what they do, and this is what people will hear them doing. So there was not any self-importance there at all, and it was all about what experience can we bring to the students. So that was the really appealing thing.
Basses, let's do that. Sol, mi. Many of you forgot the gesture that I asked for. Okay? Basses and tenors together. Sol, mi. Okay? Now, sopranos and altos. Sol, mi. We were doing well. There's some things, in a 2-hour rehearsal, you can't expect the best tone at the end of the second hour, especially if we went 90 minutes non-stop and, you know, focused, I should say focused. So we have a ways to go, but that's what our warm-up is for. And I think that if we end a dress rehearsal with not a sense of we've done it, but a sense of we have a responsibility in front of us, then we'll hit it a bit better at the performance.
How did you choose to go into music, and how did you, I guess, start playing piano and when?
Oh, basically you have to ask my mom. I walked to the piano as soon as I could walk, basically.
So when I started the piano, I somehow felt entitled to check out classical music.
I decided to get into music from my childhood. I wanted a piano when I was about 4 years old and started taking lessons. And one thing led to another. My parents had an organ album of organ music, and I took to that, so I became an organist. And then in college and grad school, I started studying conducting more. So I chose to be a conductor. And part of that meant working with people and teaching music to people. And so that leads fairly logically to education, because one of the most fun things for me is to teach music. I love rehearsals more than anything, so I look for opportunities to work with people teaching, and that means both here at the college, but also with the regional youth chorus, the Vermont Youth Orchestra Association's chorus.
I was about 15, my piano teacher told me that I should do auditions at conservatories, and first of all, I didn't even know you could study music, because I'm the only one in the family. So. And then I did audition, and I started the conservatory while I was doing my last year of high school.
And my high school hired a new choir teacher that year, my senior year. And she and I started voice lessons, and towards the end of the year she said, "You know what you should study?" And I said, "What?" And she said, "Be a music teacher." And so when I got to college, I decided to check it out and see if it was something that I would really enjoy. And it was a good fit.
I'm actually going out for a music education. I hopefully will be getting into the College of St. Rose by next Tuesday. And again, ultimate goal is to just kind of, you know, teach high school choir, because that's kind of where I've really developed my own love of singing, and to pass along that sort of, you know, love for singing that my teachers have passed on to me would just be really fulfilling.
BYOC actually influenced a lot of it because we have been able to sing amazing works like Mozart Requiem, and actually the first one we sang that I was part of was Haydn's Nelson Mass, and I was blown away, and just the thought of so many more opportunities like that was just that there were thousands of more, you know, pieces of music like that to sing was so inspiring to me, and that just, I really do have BYOC to thank for wanting to for me wanting to pursue this love of music.
In general, actually, after talking to the audience, I think it went fairly well. There are always things that you think about and think that could have been better or that could have been worse. You know, that's the standard concert afterglow. But there are some really terrific moments that I remember. And then there are some things that we're going to talk about before tomorrow night. Oh, it sounds like Wonia. There's no consonant. Trust me, there is no consonant in the beginning of that phrase. So, I mean, there is, right? But those things, those are good too. Those are constructive. The audience seemed to really like it, so that's, after all, in the end, what counts.
The sleigh ride.
What about Sleigh Ride? I was entirely, honestly focused on the choir. And so, actually, when it came time for my solo, I wasn't thinking about playing anything on the keyboard, so.
Everyone was waiting for that.
I know that, yes, I'm quite aware. I'm glad, actually, everyone was, because then it worked. The second concert, it went very well, and the audience was appreciative. So, I was very pleased. There were some moments when we were actually able to do expressive things that we'd never done before, and it was only because the focus was better, and we kind of felt like what it was like to perform once already. So, at least that's what I think.
Everyone has their own story for how they first got into music, but for each, the musical opportunities that were available to them provided invaluable experience, inspiration, and incentive to push themselves. One such opportunity is to be a part of a community of dedicated musicians. So, we asked, why is this important?
I think the community is important because it provides a sense of belonging for students. It exposes them to culture, various cultures, and gives them a sense of family. A lot of these kids will be in my program for 4 years, 3 years, and so you have that continuity and sense of team. You all have the common goal, and it really gives you a purpose.
About what playing in the All-State Jazz Bands did, and that was just such a fantastic thing. It's so inspiring to work with people my own age who are that serious and that far along in their musical study. It was just a really good bonding experience, which just kind of fuels my desire to keep improving and learning.
Me, I love musical communities because I can meet people that are just like me, and that aren't gonna be like, oh, you're like a music nerd. And I really love being able to make music with other people who are also just like love it as much as I do. And I think that's really special.
Yeah, I think that all of those things, artistic, academic, athletic, they need to be part of a human being's life. They're natural things. We think, we express ourselves emotionally, we run, chase balls. But I think that a chorus in an artistic community contributes a level of individual, personal expression, creative expression, that can come from an emotional part of us.
I teach music because I like it.
Love it.
It makes me happy. That's simple. When I don't play for a few days, I get like, not really grumpy, but I feel off balance or something.
I think on a good day, I will arrive to rehearsal with no energy, and somehow the chorus turns that around. On a bad day, I will arrive with some sense of meaning in music and life, and maybe it's the general vibe in the room, or maybe it's actually a few people who are consistently working me down that I leave thinking, that might be the last week for me. This might be the last term for me. But I've found in the last 5 years, by the time we get to the end of the year, by the time we get through all of that, there are enough students really taking this music further than I dreamed they would, that it means it's what I'll do next month.